Hello folks, hopefully you can hear me okay. I was going to play some music, but I don't want to risk YouTube complaining about copyright stuff, and this might be a bit all over the place, or rambling, but anyway, yeah, it's only a couple of things really, and you know, I'm not unaware of, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably going to seem like I am trying to defend myself. Oh, that's better, more like. So I just open Notepad, and of course, because it's blank white page, it's just illumination. Yes, wonderful. It's going to seem like I'm trying to defend myself in some way, and unfortunately, the situation means it's going to seem like that. So, yes, I'll come back to that. This could be sort of a video response, but I don't think it's worth me putting it as an actual proper video response, because I wouldn't want to, by doing so, create even more implications, etc, etc, because you know, this is all part and parcel of a lot of what I've been ranting about recently. Yes, this might be somewhat of a rant. We shall see. As I say, sort of a video response, sort of a just vlog. Like I said, I want to try and do more of these vlogs, and most of the time this is just me flowing from what situation has been going on anyway. Yeah, you know, I've ranted lots about synchronicity stuff recently, talking about that, and fixating on it a bit, but it's just part of the reason why I was fixated on it. I'm not doing any of this stuff to get some kind of kudos or social status or value. Like, I don't have a donate button, I'm not selling anything. I sometimes think I should have a donate button at least, but it's one of those things where, yeah, whatever, for various reasons. But I'm not doing any of this to try and get something back from it, other than you know, I myself could and would argue from that anthropological sense of genetic survival, let's put it that way. You know, if the species eradicates itself because they're all dumb psychopaths who are quite happy to blow everything up if they're not allowed to have it, yeah, that means all of us die. You know, the whole world is ruined for every generation, etc, etc. So, and yes, I could also argue that in that there has to be undeniably a certain amount of ego. Anybody who does stuff on here, you have to have a certain amount of ego. You have to have a certain amount of ego to even exist the way we understand it. And, well, I shouldn't use understand, see, all these problems of all this word magic. But hopefully, if you listen to the kind of stuff I rant and ramble about, then you hopefully get the meaning of what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to get anything back from this. If something does come back, then it comes back because it's what's meant to happen, in that karmic sense. Yeah, I've spent half my life doing it the other way round. That's part and parcel of why I'm doing it this way round now. Midlife crisis? No, I don't think so, because this, for me, has been going on since I was a kid. Since I was a small child, this has gradually built up. It's just, unfortunately, for me, taken this long for me to get to this point. But yes, it's more trying to give back and put stuff out there, and reverse those polarities, etc, etc. Be active and not just an observer, and not just a sheeple going along with the flow, etc, etc. But yeah, see, this is part of the problem of hearing all this stuff about how the truth movement, for want of a better term, is divided and attacking each other, and all these people arguing, and yeah, I know it's doing that, and that's, you know, I pointed that out myself, and here we are in the catch-22. Recently, I've been trying to point at what I keep referring to as synchronicities, because for me it's coming up as synchronicities, because I'm not going to run down the heavily negative kind of idea that all this is because one person is copying another, or one person is pretending to be something that they're not, or another person is a shill for this, that. It's been done to death, and the information is so readily available, and you yourself should be using your own critical abilities to look at this stuff anyway, no matter where it comes from. You know, stop putting people on pedestals and question. It's for you to do for yourself and your discovery, you know. And that, as I say, puts me in the catch-22 situation where I'm trying to point out these synchronicities that I see that are the positives, the commonalities, the unificating points of reference, the root principles that the vast majority of the truth movement is all talking about. And all the arguments are either over petty differences or ego problems where one person wants to be in charge or insists that it has to be their way. If you don't believe what they say, then you're part of the problem. If you don't join in with their particular cause, you're part of the problem. Everything has to be done their way. Well, you know what I'm talking about, because if you look at this kind of stuff, you can see it plenty. So I've been trying to, maybe it's my own personal perspective of the way things have gone for me recently in my life, but to me, I'm just seeing so much more of more people saying basically the same kind of things, saying the same root principles. They agree on those principles. They're coming at it from slightly different angles, but they're all going along the same route. But because of those very slight different angles, they end up getting stuck and attacking each other, rather than both going sort of nodding and going, yeah, we're all going the same way. You know, all the stuff to do with OPPT. As I've said recently, I don't want to go over it again and again and again. I'm not backtracking, I'm not changing what I've said. I still think it's just simply illogical. In the long run, it comes down to who enforces those bits of paper. So if anything, what you need to address is the hearts and minds of the enforcers, not the paper machine. The mere act of the OPPT having been filed and it existing in the machine, inside the machine there, means that anybody who ends up interacting with it, even those who are the enforcers, you know, when they get served a notice and they have to come and enforce against it, etc., that means that person has now been presented with that concept that this is all this legal system is all just paper delusion, and it's up to them whether they acquiesce to then enforce the bullshit ink that's on that bit of paper. So to me, that was like I said previously, if it does that kind of thing, great, get on with it, let it do it, because now it's there, it's just going to do it anyway. But constantly arguing whether, and I've seen so much of this manipulative peer pressure, guilt psychology, attempting to say to people, shepherd people basically, if you don't agree with this new thing that we've done, you're part of the problem. You have to get on my boat, otherwise you're not going to be allowed in, you're part of the problem. And this to me is ridiculous. It's like, why can't you just appreciate it for what it is? And like I keep saying, let it bear its fruit. If it's going to do what it's doing, it'll do it. For those people that want to join in with it, add their energy to it, make use of it, if it works for them, if it's a tool for them, great. But please stop and don't keep pushing this. If you don't join it, you are somehow joining the enemy. It become, as I say, these divisions become ridiculous, very petty, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, aspect of that in reference to me saying about, like, you know, you should be using your own critical thinking skills and research abilities and access to information, all that good stuff for yourself. You should not be taking anybody's word for anything, and learn to accept the fact that if you're listening or reading somebody else's opinion, watching a video clip that's been put together by somebody scripted, then you're looking at what they're presenting from their filtered point of view, their subjective point of view, just like I am now. I talked about this, I think, in the last show. You know, please don't forget that I'm just sharing how I'm looking at things and the directions I am preferring to go in for whatever reason. And you have to allow for the fact that, me being me, there's a certain amount of my filters that have been imposed on what I'm looking at and what I'm talking about, and you know, that's the direction my mind is going. Your mind is yours, your spirit is yours. Don't let my filters be masked onto you. Don't assume that my filters. Know for a fact that everybody has those filters. In that sense, and that's partly inspired by the video James Corbett put up recently, The Myth of Objective Journalism. That was the latest podcast, I think. Go watch, listen to that. And as well, you know, don't take his word for it. As he says, as we've all been, well, I shouldn't say all, as lots of voices have been saying for quite a while, part of this change, this shift in paradigms, is to do with people having access to information, ideas, concepts, all kinds of stuff. And it's that sharing of that information that I feel is part of the process of the mass consciousness coming to realizations of the core principles that are actually going to be beneficial to itself. Yeah, it's starting to realize that it can't keep consuming the planet and expect to have tomorrow in existence. Sooner or later, you know, remember thinking in a consciousness sense, the organism that we are part of, we are individuals within, it operates on a longer times or broader time scale. Time becomes a bit difficult then in that sense, but I think you get the point. These things might not necessarily happen quickly, but then again there can be that instant spark moment where it will completely flip. And as Max was saying in his recent upload, as he said lots before, Max Egan said lots before, if everybody actually, you know, realised this and we all came out in non-compliance against the system, it would just stop instantly. You know, within a few seconds you could stop it if there was enough of us all part and parcel of that. And that's partly as well what I wanted to rant about. I just watched and listened to Max Egan's latest upload. What was it? Be Active or Abdicate. I thought even the title alone just straight away made me feel like I had to defend myself. And as I say, I'm not unaware of that fact. And just being honest, I'm stuck in catch-22 here, where if I point these things out, these similarities, these synchronicities, then it means I'm being an energy vampire because I'm trying to steal somebody else's thunder, I'm trying to claim kudos off something somebody else has done, all that kind of stuff. So I want to share this information, and I want to point out these commonalities to people to try and get across it. Look, there are commonalities. It's not all division. Part of the problem at the moment is that truth movement is more like the divide movement. So many people arguing over petty points that it just amplifies the division, it creates division. And if you look enough into the kind of methodology and modus operandi of the secret agencies, it's part of what they do. They sow seeds of division. They set up pseudo gangs deliberately. They inject memes of disinformation, turd in the punch bowl, all that kind of stuff, Mockingbird, etc., etc. they know full well that while everybody is busy arguing amongst themselves over petty points and ego battles, then you're too busy arguing amongst yourselves. They can carry on with their criminal activities and etc. But just the title alone, like I said, made me feel like, oh, shit, is that directed at me? Not that I'm trying to say, I don't want to get into any kind of, again, ego thing. I'm not putting Max Egan on a pedestal. I will disagree with things he said. I will question things he said. I've got my own point of view, and I respect the fact that he has as well. And I try to do things in a direct communication fashion. And I'm not unaware of the fact that, as I say, this could all just be from my own perspective, and maybe it's more just connecting for me from my own filtered reasons. But what he talks about in there is, in that particular episode, I've clicked like on it in my YouTube channel, so it'll be in the feed or something somewhere if you look back for the feed, or you go and check out his channel, AOD Scarecrow. So yeah, they're there if you want to watch it. I suggest you go and watch it because it's a bloody good episode, good upload. But the kind of stuff he's saying in that is, as I say, it's stuff that I've been saying as well recently, and I've heard other people saying. But at the same time, it creates that catch-22 problem of where trying to point out these similarities means you are somehow suddenly working for the enemy, or you're trying to hijack something, you're trying to claim kudos off somebody else's work. Like I said earlier, it's not that at all. It's trying to point out to people that there are similarities, there are commonalities, there are agreements, and if all we do is fixate over arguing over who you should or shouldn't listen to, and oh yes, whatever, I think you get the point. If you listen to that and you've heard the stuff that I've been putting out recently, if you think there's no similarities, fair enough. Like I said, it could just be me. But if you do listen, like watching Ron Van Dyke's uploads as well, the Paradox Man and other people, James Corbett, I hear voices talking about similar things, many different voices coming from the same kind of perspectives and the same kind of agreements. Yet at the same time, the bigger crowd of the truth movement is busy attacking each other over petty arguments and having ego battles and whatever else crap. And I do totally agree with Max. It is exceedingly tiring and frustrating, and as for me, this is why my attitude with the OPPT thing, I'm not really bothered about a bit of paper. I'm more bothered about connecting with people, because it's from that base layer of the pyramid that everything will change. That base layer will influence the next layer, the enforcers, and by what their actions are, the whole thing will come down. If we all walk away from the pyramid, they will attempt to chase us down and herd us back in like cattle. The enforcers will. It's the enforcers themselves really is one of the key factors, the key locks. So in that respect, to me, it's more important to reach people, not to have a bit of paper. But there you go, whatever. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, being and doing. I don't need a piece of paper that says yes I can or can't. As long as, until this gets shut off for whatever reason and stops me from doing it in this virtual sense, I'll still be doing it in a face-to-face sense. And be active or abdicate, as I've been saying quite often recently. Start participating, stop observing and start participating. And don't beat yourself up if you can't be the next Gandhi or whatever other iconic figure from the past or present. Do what you can do with what's available to you. Make connections with people. That's one of the core things. Keep sharing information, because in a Fahrenheit 451 sense, once they start locking down that free transmission of ideas and concepts and information, that's when you truly know the tyranny is stuck in. So yes, folks, I've rambled a bit. I think more than enough for me to just do it. I just felt I had to rant about it. Like I said, I know I'm potentially falling prey to defending myself, and it could be said to be egotistical and whatever. The videos that are on my channel are there because I wanted to help share them, to further them on, to create another node in the network where they could be found, so that they're less likely to disappear, so that more people get access to, simple reasons of why anybody mirrors that kind of content. So I'm not trying to force this on anyone, I'm just sharing it to pay it on. Right? So in that manner, you could be doing the same thing. And, that's taking part, as being active and helping, keeping that communication going on. It's a word I mashed up the other day, communication. I think just by saying it, you should hopefully get a meaning out of it that I think hopefully will carry across. I know the English language is a bit limiting, and we can talk about the Orwellian manipulation of ideas through language, whatever. There you go. There's a reverse manipulation. If we keep working on that communication, the more people that are all beating the same drum, or at least, starting to get those resonances in some kind of harmonic, we're getting there. Maybe it's drip, drip, drip. Maybe it's slowly, slowly catchy monkey. But, like I said, I'm seeing this year, I'm seeing more and more people basically on the same topics, down the same pathways, and constantly falling back to the, well, what should we argue about next? Oh, so-and-so said this, therefore we'll go and shout at him and post hateful comments on his channel. Roar! If this mass global awakening is about the spiritual essence of mankind maturing, the chrysalis opening and the pupae coming out as the butterfly, all that good awakening kind of analogy, then maybe that's part of the growing up process. We don't need to keep projecting hate and negativity. Yes, I certainly will. I'll still keep doing the kind of expose stuff to point out the bad stuff in the world, because we've got to make people aware of it so that something can be done about it. If we just keep ignoring it, they'll keep doing it. They'll do worse. So yeah, still keep doing that, but you don't necessarily have to be turning in on yourselves to hate on each other. There's enough stuff for us to deal with as it is. Yeah, anyway, folks, I've rambled enough, ranted enough. Did I say everything I wanted to say? I think so, hopefully. Keep sharing. There's lots of good stuff out there. I know it's getting harder. YouTube, Google, whatever, they're manipulating it so that it's getting more restrictive to share stuff and to communicate with people and whatever. But, we do what you can with what we've got available to us while it's there. Yeah, keep sharing, keep talking. I will catch you soon. Take care.